Hi, thank you. For members of the public, just to explain, we had an incident with a fire alarm going off. So we had to vacate the premises. We have unfortunately now lost a couple of members who had to go off to other urgent meetings, and we've also lost the Commissioner and his staff because they also had to get off. So we were at the end of that particular agenda item, and we have two items now which are the finance items, which were really just the sort of latest update. So the suggestion is that basically we have nobody to answer the questions. So that if anyone has any questions they wish to ask, Mrs. King has just kindly said that if we email the questions to her, she will see that we get a reply. So that's the two items. And we, I've got somebody else coming in there. So I was just saying, Councillor Strachan, that the two finance items, we haven't got the Commissioner's staff here to answer the questions now. So if anyone has got any questions, please email them through, perhaps to James, and he can collate them. Is that all right? And he will send them on to Mrs. King, and she will then come back via James. So the two items after that are the work programme and the complaint. So we can deal with those because they don't require the Commissioner's staff. So on the work programme, it's the standard item, but of course it is the last one. This is the last meeting of this year, so where we might say that an item should be added to the agenda, it will be up to the new panel, which may or may not be the same as the existing panel, to actually confirm that. But we already have had a couple of the items, like the briefings. We've had quite a few of those, and the the task and finish group is still ongoing. That was supposed to report today, but we needed to have a bit longer, so that's not coming back until June anyway. So did you want to say any more on that, James?
No, I think you've covered it, Chair. As you said, it's the standard item, but given that this is the last meeting of the year, it's more about this panel highlighting anything it wishes to hand on to its successor, rather than looking at the work programme in progress.
I think the only item that was mentioned earlier on was the new serious violence strategy. So the Commissioner seemed keen to come back to us, so perhaps you can note that as and it may just be an item for an agenda.
There was also the Commissioner seemed to be referring to a full estate strategy coming forward, yes, which presumably the panel would want to look at. Yes, certainly. Councillor Maxwell.
Well, I was looking at 11 and 12 actually. Fire, police, crime and panel work programme, but the complaints and conduct.
So we'll come to it in a minute.
All right,
still on the work programme, yeah. Are there any other items that anyone would like to add on to the work programme or comment on?
Sorry, did I read something somewhere about a third co-opted member being on the panel? The recruitment of a third co-opted member?
Yeah, that's a separate issue, isn't it, really, rather than
that? Well, I put a reference in the work programme for the final meeting of 23-24 for the panel needing to agree the approach it wanted to take to the recruitment of co-opted members. That's picking up the fact that the serving co-opted members were appointed for 4 years, which elapses in the summer of 2024. The point about a third co-opted member, the panel is able to, the panel must have 2 co-opted members. This panel has previously sought permission to have a third. At the moment, we're running with 2 because the third co-opted member who was in place, which was Robert Mahaffey, members may recall, resigned, and we've been carrying that vacancy. So the panel will need to recruit in the summer of 24. It must recruit 2. It may recruit 3.
Okay, so yes, that item will need to be on the agenda. I mean, it's slightly, the panel, usually the 2 co-opted members are the sort of continuity when there are changes to the council members, and unfortunately that will just fall at exactly the same time as the council elections, I think. So we don't know if any of us will be here. So, but that's the way it is, I think, is, it's a 4-year term, so we have to stick to that. But at that point, we will then have selections, and then if we wish, we can go to three members. Okay. Any other comments, anyone? Or we just note that report. And then the final item is the complaints. And again, it's really just for noting. Has anyone got any comments on it? Councillor Maxwell.
Sorry. I think the thing about, we've actually done a couple of complaints meetings.
I think there's only one this year.
Well, I thought we had 2.
No, I think it was probably the previous year.
Oh, what was it? Oh, right.
Time
Sorry.
flies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it was quite clear what was put in the minutes, because I didn't know, what would happen with that. But we don't normally report the individual sort of details about it. But
No, of course not. No.
Yeah.
No. Does that mean that that will then move forward now in June,
Well, what?
if there were any complaints?
Oh, if there were any complaints that needed to come to a panel, they would have to come to, well, I suppose it depends on the timing. If it was, in the next month, could come to this panel, but I presume if it's anything later.
I just thought there was one pending. No?
Oh.
No.
No, there's nothing outstanding at the moment. The last one was the one that mentioned in this report that's been resolved.
Right. Okay.
Do you want to put your...
Should we normally have at this point in time, like a summary of the various numbers of complaint that usually James prepare? Like you show how many complaints we have had historically.
That's not something that typically features in this report, but it could in future if the panel would find that helpful. I mean, the number of complaints runs around an average of 1 a year. Relying on memory, but I think I'm right in saying there hasn't been a year when there has been more than 2 complaints. There have been some years when there have been no complaints. So I think typically what I do is there'll be a report to the first panel meeting in the next municipal year about reappointing appointing members to the complaints subcommittee. I think typically what does feature in that report is precisely what Mrs. Shields has said, because that report makes the point that the complaints subcommittee is only convened as and when necessary. And yeah, I think from memory, that report typically says, and here includes a table saying, and there have been the following number of complaints subcommittee meetings in recent years. So that can feature in that report to the next panel meeting, or if the panel wanted to say in future, in the 6-month update report, it would like some statistics on number of complaints that have been dealt with. over a longer period than just the previous 6 months, then it would be open to you to do so as well.
Yes, Jem, because I think that would be very helpful, because like that we've got the full history of how many complaints were submitted, and those we didn't have to act on it or act on it. So, yeah.
Okay, so I think James will put that in a future report when he brings that back to say about the complaints subcommittee then. Okay, Councillor Maxwell.
Before Stephen went, he was saying about there's a new deputy fire chief, is that correct?
Yes, there was a press release that came out this morning, I think, that announced that, and he would have liked to tell us about that, but didn't get the opportunity. So that press release is going to be sent round to everybody to make sure, because I think it may have only been sent to myself as chair and the vice chair. No, it's not. It's not an internal.
I see.
Coming from outside, but the press release I had all of his history and where he'd worked, etc.
So that will be sent round to us, will it?
Yes, that will be sent round to you. Yeah.
Right.
But it is a public document now. So.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Is this you?
Yes. Sometimes I can't hear very well. I'm a bit deaf on one ear, so you have to bear with me. But the commissioner, before leaving, was saying that he would have liked to introduce the fire.
That was what we were just saying about.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. So would this sort of thing would be debating in June?
Well, there was already outstanding that we were going to to have a session with the chief fire officer,
Yeah.
which I think we were going to have one, and then only the chief constable could turn up. So we are still missing that one. Whether that is, this is an assistant chief fire officer, so that may not be appropriate. But certainly the briefing with the chief fire officer is on the schedule, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
So if we have pertinent question vis-à-vis of the fire report and comment that has been made, I can address them to James.
Yeah, then any outstanding questions you've got that you didn't
Right,
have a
okay.
chance to.
Thank you.
Councillor Carr, did you?
Where are we on the agenda?
Yes, we
got off the agenda slide.
yeah, I'm not Madam Mayor, but
Yeah, sorry, I don't know why I said that.
yeah, no, we have jumped back onto the previous item on the agenda there, but I gave you leeway because we've been a bit disrupted today. Yes, so on the complaints, I think, that's probably it. And in that case, thank you very much for your, Councillor Maxwell.
Did we discuss what we're going to do in June? No? No.
Well, it's on the schedule that we just said. Yep. But we will see sort of in June. And I did note that James had sent around a thing saying that it will be at the Guildhall, and they'd got a new webcam system there in the Jeffrey room. So that will be in the Guildhall next time. Is that right, James?
That's correct.
Yep. In the Guildhall. It's in the papers, and it will be on the agenda, obviously, when that comes out. Okay, well, thank you very much for your indulgence, and thank you for coming back in. And hope you have a good summer. And thank you very much for your attendance.